All right, welcome to the Jim Acosta Show, and we're starting just a couple of minutes late here, but that's okay. We've got a special guest that I've been anxious to speak with for some time now, sports journalist and now podcast hit. Pablo Torre is joining us. Pablo, great to see you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Jim, it's great to be on the internet with you. I'm a big fan of yours for many, many years, and this is a surreal but delightful way to officially connect.
Likewise, absolutely happy to do this. And I love what you're doing with your show, Pablo Torre Finds Out. And it's interesting. One of the reasons why I was like, we got to get Pablo on to talk about this is that, and I've been doing this for like the last several months, the Epstein case. We've been covering it nonstop. As you know, it's been a huge story here in Washington. It's a major, I think, threat to Donald Trump's presidency, as we all know. And one of the, subjects that come up time and again is, the files themselves. What's in the Epstein files? Are they ever going to come out? Who's in the Epstein files? And, there have been these disclosures that have come out recently, Pablo, that have shown all sorts of people, Larry Summers, the former president of Harvard and Treasury Secretary, I mean, you name it. But you did something for your show on the Epstein files, even though you typically cover sports, because your viewers were saying, we want you to cover this. Is that right?
Yeah, I use journalism to solve mysteries. And I've
Yeah.
realized, as a person who used to work at ESPN full time, that was my cable television teat that I was suckling from, Jim, for a very long time, was ESPN.
I know that feeling. Yeah.
And it was delicious. But as I went on in my career, I realized that a return to journalism is something that sports was sorely lacking, frankly, in that same
True.
in that same way. And for me, sports has always been a bit of a liberal arts education. There's always a way to get to everything else. And so as an investigative reporter who sort of resurrected in my own life that practice with sports as my lens, I looked at the Epstein files and people were telling me, could you figure out some way to use your strange, obsessive, investigative sensibilities to just look at this? And what I ended up looking at was this video that I think you certainly and everyone else has seen before. It's the video that is now infamous. The most infamous video and the most famous story, you could say, is Donald Trump greeting Jeffrey Epstein at Mar-a-Lago in 1992. This was NBC footage.
Yep.
And right there in the background is a very tall gentleman who walks into Mar-a-Lago with Jeffrey Epstein.
I know this video. I know what you're talking about. Absolutely.
And the question I had as a sports journalist was, who the fuck is that guy?
First of all, he's huge. He's massive. We're going to play this video in a second, but keep going.
Yeah. And so the question was like, as anyone who's roughly 6'11" gets asked in their life, did you play basketball? I was also wondering that same question. And turns out that the answer is not only yes, emphatically. It turns out that this man is a former NBA player, one of the great college basketball players of all time, a guy on the cover of Sports Illustrated as a high schooler, and also, by the way, a 3-term Democratic congressman.
That's right.
So Tom McMillan is this man's name. And so when you realize, wait a minute, this guy is in that video, flying under the radar, hiding in plain sight in a way that no person of that physical, literal stature would otherwise be able to do. And he's also in the background of the video with Epstein doubling over laughing as Trump is whispering into his ear.
That.
And he's literally trying to duck out of the frame, Jim, in the background, which is ineffective because he's, again, 6'11". Yep. Talking to Ghislaine Maxwell behind them in the background of that same continuation of the NBC footage. It brings the question of, like, I would love to find out what it's like to be him. And then the new wave of files come out. Thanks to the House Oversight Committee. And it turns out he's actually in those as well. And so
interesting. His name is in there. It's Tom McMillan. And Pablo, as a long-suffering Washington Bullets and Wizards fan, I remember watching him play for the Bullets back in the day. And then he became a congressman here in the DC area. Let's play this. It's a clip of what you did. And it's the viewers who are watching us right now should understand at the beginning of this, McMillan kind of basically says, well, I just showed up at the party. I mean, he's just sort of playing this off as, I just showed up at this party at Mar-a-Lago. And then you keep peeling the layers of the onion back. Let's watch.
Welcome to Pablo Torre Finds Out. I am Pablo Torre, and today we're going to find out what this sound is.
I really didn't do this interview. hash back something 35 years ago that I barely remember.
Because it is this historical artifact. And as I was watching it and studying it, I was like, hold on, that's the guy who might also be the tallest member of Congress.
That's right. So the story is, I was coming to a party at Mar-a-Lago. Trump had just bought it, and I'm walking in with my girlfriend, and there's Trump and Epstein there. This was in 91, a long time ago. And,
November 92, I believe, actually, just looking at the date there at Palm Beach, Florida.
Right. And what happened was Trump was throwing an NFL party. So there were all kinds of NFL celebrities there. And he was trying to promote Mar-a-Lago because, he wanted to do something with it, like turn it into a club or something. So I literally just walked into that. The only reason there were cameras there is because Trump was promoting the NFL, and promoting his club, typical Donald Trump stuff. So
what's it like when you see your name with 2 entries in that black book? You're listed C. Thomas McMillan as chairman and CEO of the Risk Group, but then also elsewhere just with your Landover, Maryland address. What is your reaction when you realize that you're in these papers too?
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, that address goes back to probably the early 90s. So, I mean, as I said, you run into people like this. He was a collector of people. He had a staff of secretaries. They probably kept all these names up. I didn't have much correspondence with him or anything else, but he knew a lot of people. There's no question about it. But
so it's blacked out. The from is sort of redacted on this copy. It's January 22nd, 2013. Yep. And
I really don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's just strange to me. None of that would make sense to me. So I have no idea.
Is Epstein plane flight logs, January 29th, 1993. This is 2 months after the party at Mar-a-Lago that we showed when you were talking to Ghislaine Maxwell right behind Trump and Epstein. 3 weeks after you left Congress. Do you recall this flight? This would be from D.C. to Atlanta to Palm Beach?
No.
Because your name is listed there next to Tommy Quinn.
I don't recall, and I don't think it's accurate. So,
wow. And so, and little by little, folks need to go watch your podcast and watch you do this, because you do this over several excruciating minutes where he just tries to play this off as like, oh, I was just here, I was just there. And then you're like, but why are you on this page? And am I right, Pablo? This came from the House Oversight Committee email dump that we saw a couple of weeks ago where all of this stuff was in there.
Yeah, so I booked this interview with Tom McMillan about his life because I found him fascinating. The guy's a Rhodes Scholar. The guy is a leader in the college sports reform movement. He is somebody who is a mover and a shaker in DC in the political world, as well as this historical sports figure. And so I booked him because the Epstein files are back in the news. What happened, though, thanks to, frankly, independent journalism, is that these databases of the tens of thousands of emails and files became searchable. And in between the booking of him originally and the discovery and the searchability of those documents, I looked him up. And so there was this fascinating moment in which you have somebody who has had, I think, I don't want to overstate what happened here, but it's just very rare to get someone in front of you who is there to answer questions, journalistic questions that are not going to relent when it comes to, you were just recalling stuff from the 1960s about your high school basketball career, which we walked through, by the way, in like 4K clarity. But when it comes to the 90s and these flight logs and then an email that was sent with the subject line to Jeffrey Epstein, Tom McMillan, from somebody who is alleged otherwise in the Epstein story to have participated in the quote unquote massages and the orgies, this woman, Gwendolyn Beck, we present all of it to him over Zoom. Like, here are the documents. What do you remember? And every time we give him the opportunity to say anything, he says, I don't recall. And so it's just this, it's not something that I intended to be like, haha, gotcha. Yeah. But it is this thing of, there are ways to answer these questions that are less suspicious. But unfortunately, Jim, we received none of those answers. They all raised more questions, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, it was a gotcha, I have to say, and it may sound cliche, but that's exactly what it was. And we're not saying that he did anything wrong, but what the hell? There's a lot of stuff to
There's a
ask about.
there are questions that should be asked, and
Yeah.
I think what we're experiencing, and maybe this is just one of the early wave of examples, is
Yep.
lots of people, famous, notable figures, are in these files, and they should be asked questions like this, straight
Right.
ahead questions. If you watch the episode, we go through his life and we give time to all of his accomplishments. He was in Munich for that famous game against the Soviets. You know,
Right.
he's this Forrest Gumpian character who knows the commissioners of every sport. He was
Yep.
an appointee by Bill Clinton. He was chair of the physical fitness, the sports committee that Trump has now
Wow.
revived. He's a guy who got money from Trump when he ran for Congress. He is this guy with connections to everybody. But what happens when you're actually asked real questions that you can't just spin away from? My suspicion, my hope is that this is a version of accountability in the absence, by the way, of we're not alleging anything. There are no criminal
Right.
accusations, but it's just sort of like, so can you just explain why you keep coming up here, why you're documented? By the way, my favorite detail there is in the flight logs. It's not just Tom McMillan, it's Tom McMillan in parentheses,
Congressman.
congressman.
I saw that.
And so it's like, there are not many ways to pretend that this wasn't you, but his answer is, I don't recall. So
Yeah, which is never a good answer in those kinds of settings. And but it also raises the point. This is why we need to see the Epstein files released.
yes,
And we don't give a shit who's in there and what party they're from. But Donald Trump sure as hell is trying mightily to keep these documents and files and videos and whatnot from coming out.
yes.
It's
Oh,
very I don't recall-ish.
I would dare say that there are things that they actively don't want anyone to recall based on the
Yeah.
behaviors displayed. And yes, beyond the political potency of this, which is vast, I would say, and that's partly why, as you've covered extensively, they're not releasing these things. Even in this Tom McMillan story, Donald Trump comes up not only as a political donor, but because the woman Gwendolyn Beck, who is deeply associated in the testimony of the late Virginia Giuffre,
Yeah.
as a participant in these orgies with Jeffrey Epstein, the email she sends to Jeffrey Epstein long after he's already convicted to be as a sex offender, registered and all of that in New York, and has these lawsuits in Florida. Years after that, she writes this email, subject line Tom McMillan, and we show it in the episode. And part of what she is doing in her emails with Jeffrey Epstein is also separately, personally asking him, hey, if you know of any positions that come up in a Trump committee or cabinet capacity, can you let me know? And
Wow.
this is this woman, Gwendolyn Beck, personally asking Jeffrey Epstein, hey, I know implicitly, you're this guy I've always known to be close to Donald Trump. Can you do me a favor? And so interwoven organically, even into this story, is Donald Trump, because of course their connectivity is a reminder of stuff that the president doesn't want to disclose.
Yeah, no question about it. And Pablo, another reason why I was anxious to do this interview is that you recently tackled a subject that is near and dear to my heart. I'm a former CBS News correspondent. I don't go all the way back to the Connie Chung days, but you interviewed Connie Chung, who was an anchor along with Dan Rather of the CBS Evening News, about the recent changes over at CBS, where the Ellisons have taken over. They put Barry Weiss in charge, and Connie Chung ain't too happy about that. Let's play this.
That's right.
We don't. I mean, I can't. The paradigm has completely changed in news, and we have so much opinion that the truth doesn't hold value anymore. And what we end up doing is we as consumers, trying to find the truth. We can't find good old fashioned facts. And it distresses me so terribly. CBS is a different organization that I had worked for. CBS has now been taken over thanks to greedy owners, Sherry Redstone, partnering with David Ellison, Larry Ellison's son. And their greed has caused the venerable CBS to actually disassemble, to crash into crumbles. And then they've hired
Wow.
this I don't know what to call Barry Weiss.
I don't
It's,
either.
you know, I just don't know.
Yeah, but she's, you know, we'll see.
Maury.
It's not a big we'll see, as if
Well,
she could possibly restore.
she was there the other day when Trump goes on 60 Minutes. I thought it was a decent interview. It was okay.
You're talking about Nora O'Donnell's interview.
Yes.
Well, part of my concern, by the way, and I find it very, if I were you, I'd find it very difficult to watch the administration of CBS News wear the costume of CBS News, getting to cosplay to pretend that nothing is different, even though the very premise of their acquisition of the network was, in fact, at the discretion and blessing of the president, who was the interview subject in that video that we're describing.
That's right.
And so just the very basic premise of that feels very hard to stomach if you care about anything resembling
Journalism,
adversarial.
yeah. If you care about serious
journalism.
news.
Yeah.
When I
Yeah,
wrote
Pablo,
this
let's
CD.
talk about this. Let's pick it up there.
Yeah.
That's such a great point. I'm so worried about CBS too, but your thoughts after talking to Connie Chung?
Yeah, so this is someone in Connie Chung that I grew up watching, and I knew of her because she asked difficult, uncomfortable questions of extraordinarily powerful people. And the power dynamic of the present day, I think, is obvious to anybody in terms of who is getting to decide and install, frankly, people at the top of media organizations, because that's where we are in the mergers and acquisitions phase of this fragmented, siloed media economy. But the clip I referred to there is Donald Trump being interviewed by Connie Chung as well, in which she gets to not only grill him, but I would say do something that is rare in news media, which is also just laugh at how ridiculous he is. This was in the 90s, and he's trying to claim that he doesn't care about attention and magazine covers and all this stuff. And she's, of course, there to say, this is absurd. And separately, we played a clip in this episode too, where she interviews Bill Gates. And Bill Gates leaves the room, leaves the interview, because this is at the height of the the alleged monopolistic behavior of Microsoft, of course. And Bill Gates doesn't want to be questioned by this person, Connie Chung. And the opportunities to have, and it's just not lost on me, by the way, when you bring in the Barry Weiss of it all. Bill Gates is a figure, by the way, also all over the Epstein files. Let's just add that.
Yeah, there's that.
Here.
That's true.
Let's also remind ourselves that Barry Weiss recommended publicly that she wanted charismatic figures like Alan Dershowitz to be now presented by CBS News as one of the ways forward in this broken political news environment we exist in. Alan Dershowitz, not unrelated, all over the Epstein files.
Right.
And so I'm just pointing out here, not to say that there's some like top-down ultimate conspiracy, but just that we're living in this moment where people in power are getting away with stuff.
Totally.
And they're missing direct accountability. And by the way, Bill Gates, certainly Tom McMillan, even Donald Trump himself, at the points at which we're talking about them, they have been and were Democrats.
That's right. And party has nothing to do with it. And it's a great point that you're making, Pablo. I mean, the media used to hold these kinds of figures accountable. And we just don't see it that much anymore. Donald Trump doesn't do press conferences anymore. The White House says, oh, he takes questions all the time. He takes questions in these settings where he's in the Oval Office and he can scream at reporters, or on Air Force One where he can call them piggy. No back and forth like I had with him back during the first Trump administration. Correct. And we just don't. And leading corporate titans who have bent the knee to Donald Trump, all this, they don't get pounded the way they should by good, intelligent reporters like yourself.
Well, listen, they want control. So the most powerful people, the richest people, frankly, it's not lost on me that, and let's just take it broadly, right? Jeff Bezos wants the Washington Post, acquires the Washington Post. Elon Musk wants Twitter, makes it X. The Ellisons want CBS, they get CBS. They want the ability to control who gets to hold them to account. They want to control what the average person hears in terms of anything resembling oversight, guardrails on their behavior. And when you live at this moment, I just ask everyone to wonder, as media as a concept is breaking, and it is, and it's giving rise to independent enterprises and journalists, as we are hopefully showing. They're also proving that media has never been more important. And I mean that purely just, forget about the philosophy of it, the economics of it. they want to control media because media still matters. And so
That's
the
right.
answer to me is always, can we make sure that journalism doesn't go anywhere as well? Because that's the part that they are trying to cut out when they say media is alive and well. It's just not the ones that make them look bad.
That's right. And it's such an important point, and it very much is at the heart of where we are as a country right now. If the guy in charge, the guy in the White House, can basically control who runs these news organizations because they can approve or not approve a media takeover, a merger. There was a huge one today, WBD and Netflix, and so
Yep.
and that's going to have to go through the sausage press of getting approved by the administration. And I mean, folks at home are smart enough to figure this stuff out when CBS and ABC are paying these lawsuit settlements, basically bribes to Donald Trump. He has them over a barrel. And so we've got to figure out a different way, a different construct for getting information to the people, it seems to me.
There's never been a bigger gap between what the richest and most powerful people want you to know and what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And that's because of everything we're describing. And sports
Yeah.
to me, by the way, like, why does sports matter? It's because it is the last big tent, you could argue, left in American culture. It is a monoculture in an era of fragmentation and silos. It is the place where I could walk into a building and root for a team right alongside somebody who hates my guts in every other cultural context, but we might plausibly root for the same thing. And so for me, sports has always been a bit of a Trojan horse in which conversations can happen.
Yes.
And so for me, I've always been trying to do more than sports because I have interests, of course, well beyond. But now I'm realizing that if we're trying to reach men, if we're trying to make sure that conversations are heard by people who aren't explicitly asking for them, if I can melt the cheese of sports on the broccoli, on the nourishing substance of
That's right.
news,
Yes.
maybe that's how Tom McMillan shows up at my show, and you can actually hear someone have to answer questions that he has no good answers for. And that's something that I'm thirsting for, opportunities like that, because I believe the audience, the American people, as you've also experienced in this capacity with your show, it's just never been more necessary and more desired because people aren't idiots. They know
right.
that it's being withheld from them.
Exactly. And I mean, let's just discuss one more thing here before you go, and that is, Donald Trump. Speaking of Donald Trump, he was handed basically a participation trophy today by the folks at FIFA, talk about big wigs, corporate titans kissing up to him, getting what they want. They had the big rollout, the big FIFA rollout about the World's Cup coming to the U.S. next year. Donald Trump's very proud of this. He takes all the credit for it. And the head of FIFA brings Donald Trump this Peace Prize. We should watch this, Pablo, and then get you to comment, because this is
Your
wild.
Peace Prize, there is also a beautiful medal for you that you can wear everywhere you want to go.
Oh, boy.
Right now. Okay, let me hold. Fantastic. Excellent.
Look at that. Wow. Pablo, I was going to have one for you today as well, but I'm sorry, it just wasn't in the budget.
I mean, I demanded in my rider that I be also given some sort of equivalent honorific. I love that because it's so on the nose. Like, you can't, again, we live in this stranger than fiction time. And if you're going to write this in the movie script, of course, you have Donald Trump not even waiting for Gianni Infantino, by the way, the head of the most corrupt organization in global sports. You have him not even waiting for him to put it around his neck, as if, of course, the entire thing was Trump awarding himself something. And
That's
so there
right.
is that. And so as he is named, and it's almost like, I was thinking, it's almost like FIFA was like, we've made our inaugural 1 under 80 list, and the only person on that list is Donald Trump. Congratulations. It's just like, what are we even doing anymore?
Yeah.
It's corruption in its most obvious and frankly pathetic form. And
right. It's blatantly obvious. Yeah.
And the reason it's not just blatantly obvious because it is, it's also effective. Like, and that's the sad part, is that people keep doing this because it works.
Right.
And
all the tech titans bringing him the golden offerings. It's the same thing.
Tim Cook explaining why this, and it's all gold. It's all very on the nose. And Gianni Infantino representing FIFA, this is a guy who is infamously familiar with the quid pro quo as a matter of doing business globally. And so the United States acting like it is any autocracy that they've dealt with before. And this is how you get the World Cup in Saudi Arabia. This is how you bring it to Qatar. This is how you bring it to the United States.
Yeah, sports washing.
And sports on that point.
We're getting sports washed.
Oh,
Donald Trump's getting sports washed.
And Donald Trump is sports washing. The
Yeah.
whole notion of I'm going to use this thing that he knows is so deeply popular for all the reasons that sports has been special over time. It's this ostensible refuge of fair play and integrity and meritocracy where people of differing opinions must still pay attention in this era of time delaying and DVR is so ancient now, but like everyone's feeds being separated.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has used, despite not knowing anything, by the way, about sports, actually, for a sports fan or reporter, it's very funny to watch him pretend to know things about sports.
Yes.
And wear the costume again of sports while actually being totally disinterested in why sports actually are important and matter, because his behavior is a violation inherently of those core premises of meritocracy and fairness and integrity. But he's cosplaying as America's #1 sports fan. And it is so to me, it is so transparently fraudulent that when he shows up at a college football game and he's demanding to be named, he wants the Commanders' new stadium, of course, to be named after him.
I'm a Commanders fan. I will have a heart attack if that happens. And people in Washington will not go. I'm telling you, they will burn their season tickets. They will not go if it's named after him. They hate him.
And in part it's because, again, people actually aren't as dumb as Trump is acting. And so I always think about, I've been using this term a lot lately, but it just seems like Donald Trump, lots of people, frankly, Gianni Infantino among them, they're fracking sports. What do I mean by this? I mean, they see that there's money buried in it, and they're thinking to themselves, whoa, like this is accessible now. What they don't realize is that they are ruining sports and its ecosystem in the process. They're drilling deeper, and they are violating the sanctity of these arenas, of these institutions, such that when all is going to be left, it will be this poisoned well that no one can enjoy anymore. And that goes to the Commander Stadium, that goes to the World Cup as this place where actual immigrants, Hispanic, I mean, just like Jim, the idea of like soccer coming to America and people being afraid of being arrested by ICE at them.
Yeah.
Like, who is
I assume they'll put ICE outside these stadiums.
As they have at football games, as they have at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
It's
right.
It's a total poisoning of the last place where Americans can gather. And it's done in the service of the man who put the medal around his own neck because he was so impatient that he couldn't even pretend like it was anything other than a masturbatory exercise. And so here we are.
Here we are. A masturbatory exercise. Pablo, no pun intended, no double entendre intended. Pablo, great to see you. It's Pablo Torre Finds Out. Pablo's here on Substack. He's on YouTube. I mean, you've been crushing it. I watch you on MS Now. Joe Scarborough loves you, apparently. This is Joe and Meek. You're like Joe and Meek's favorite guest now. You're blowing up. Congratulations.
Jim, thank you. Thank you for giving some credibility to my weird show, Pablo.show on Substack and all those other channels. We use sports to solve mysteries. I would dare say that the mystery you've discussed is pretty fucking obvious, but nonetheless, I try.
Hey, we found out something today, more than just one thing today, and it's that we can say masturbatory on a YouTube show, on a Substack show, which is totally fine. It's great.
And I thank you for letting me abuse the decency standards that you have spent decades building.
You're welcome. Anytime. Please come back. Please do it again.
I will. Anytime.
All right, Pablo, great to see you, man. Best of luck. Thanks so much. The great Pablo Torre. Keep an eye on him, folks. I mean, it sort of reminds me of Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. They used to be on HBO, where you take real journalists who do real journalism, cover sports, but in a way that talks about our society, talks about our world. And Pablo he has nailed it. He has totally nailed it. And it's great stuff. So make sure you check him out. Want to switch gears in a big way, but in a fun way as well. I've been looking at this guy on Instagram for several months now. And I just said, you know what? Hell, I'm just going to follow this guy and see what happens. He immediately followed me back. And it's Johnny Hilbrant, a.k.a. the PE guy. There he is right there. And Johnny, you don't look anything like many of the videos that we see on Instagram, but we'll get to that.
Thank God,
But for the folks at home who are wondering, who is this Johnny guy? Who's Johnny? Johnny does these hilarious, absolutely hilarious fucking videos on Instagram of
Thank
a
you.
private equity guy, the PE guy, and you basically skewer these rich assholes who show up at weddings and bar mitzvahs and you name it, and just brag about themselves. Johnny, great to see you, man. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks. Yes, thank you for having me. I was honored for the follow, and then immediately followed back. I was like, "Is this real?
Is this real life?" Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I really appreciate you having me on. This is a cool opportunity, and the more eyeballs on the stuff, it's the better. So
totally. And I was just reading a profile about you in the Chicago Sun-Times.
Yep.
And I guess you're from the Chicago area, which is great. I used to work there. And it says, Johnny Hilbrant needed a laugh. He'd been stuck in one too many conversations at one too many weddings, listening to one too many private equity finance guys nonchalantly tick off life successes and lifestyle excesses until his Midwest nice almost burst. And so you've invented this character. And for the folks at home who have not seen this yet, you really need to find Johnny on Instagram and on TikTok, lots of other places. Let's watch it. We'll talk about it on the other side. And then I'm going to ask you if you can do it live, which I'm not sure you can do. But anyway,
I can find a way for you. Yeah.
We'll reveal this as we go. All right, let's watch. Let's watch.
Soles. Yeah, these are the ones that fold up. They're awesome glasses, man. Actually left them at Le Diplomat last week. Le Dip. Yeah, and I just went to pick them up today. I was so surprised they still had them, but the manager was awesome. Yeah. We're in Chevy Chase now. Yeah. So once the fun hit Carrie, wifey and I decided that we were done sharing walls with civilians. Yeah, it just was time, man. Honestly, we looked in Georgetown. And Georgetown is decent, but it felt a little retail to me. So, no offense. Yeah. So, my wife did a couple of years on the Hill working for her father. He's a senator. He's a salt of the earth kind of guy. Great guy. Awesome guy. But, now she's focused on entertaining and community building. And, she's on the board at the kids' school. So, yeah, they're at Sidwell. Yeah, it's awesome school. So, they're gifted children. We want them to be challenged intellectually, but also geopolitically. Tarantino's 4, Montauk is 2, and Ibada's 9 months. Yeah, they're awesome kids. And yeah, Tarantino's doing great. Yeah, he just started fencing actually. Not competitively.
All right, Johnny, I got to cut in here.
This is just more for his pop.
But you're talking about the wifey and the kiddos. This is a constant feature in your videos. You play this character, the PE guy.
Yeah.
And for the folks at home who are just catching on to this, Johnny basically skewers different cities with wealthy, affluent people all around the country, pretentious asshole people all around the country. And you can sort of go through the list. There's one for the Hamptons. There's one, I think you do one for the Cotswolds in Michigan. Yeah. And it's just absolutely hilarious. Tell us, why did you start doing this? Tell us, how did this happen?
I started doing it as the character started as the guy you get stuck talking to at a wedding. So he was it was not a PE guy. And then I did another one as the guy you get stuck talking to at a wedding. And it's just like the guy who wants to brag about his life to you and doesn't care what you do for a living and, or where you live, or if you even have a house, He started as him. And then I was like, I had to give him a job. And then I thought, like, okay, I feel like everyone I've talked to recently over the last 5 years at weddings, everyone's like, I'm in private equity. And everyone says, oh, well, he's in private equity. So, and I'm like, I don't know. Is that a good thing? What is that? So I was like, all right, yeah, this job is private equity. And then people were like, you're really nailing the private equity guy. And I was like, oh, it was a happy accident.
Wow.
But I was sick of, I am sick of just the way that people like act and talk in public. And I feel like, not any of my close friends, so if they see this, they won't be offended, but there are people that I used to love hanging out with. And now I'm like, I can't stand you because all you want to do is tell me about your like Rivian. And I'm just like, I don't care about your Rivian. I don't care what you, and I it's not to be mistaken as like anti-capitalist, like down with the rich. It's not like that at all. It's more just like go be successful, work your ass off, have the best time, go on amazing vacations. But when you get back from the vacation, we saw it. We saw it on Instagram. So like, we don't need to know, or I don't need to know the stars for the hotel.
You're
I'm
crying
assuming it
out
was
for
for
some humility,
yes,
just like an ounce of humility and modesty.
desperate for that. Yes, thank you.
And what is the hat substantial? Because one of the things I've noticed from PE Guy in many of your videos is he has these different hats with different words on them. And I'm just imagining that they're like his foundation or something that he exploits, or just there's something
Yeah.
funny about the hats.
There is something there. I have 3 hats now that are mine that I sell, and this is
Okay.
one, and there's one that says decent, and then one says
The decent one.
due to my role, because I actually did have a conversation with someone at a wedding who was talking about themselves, and I was kind of wide-eyed while they were talking because and he was like, well, due to my role, I mean, we're able to go to Europe for all of August or whatever, and I was just like, so I locked that in and I printed a hat with it, and now I sell the hat.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And okay, so here's the other question that I have. Somebody told me, and this is, I mean, you must run into this all the time. People are at parties, they're looking at your videos and they're like, who's this guy? I mean, I've had people send these videos to me. I've talked to people at parties about these videos because it's just so funny. And especially in DC, it really skewers very well a lot of the people who are in DC. And I'm a DC native, and I can't stand these kinds of people.
Yeah.
But one of the things I was wondering about your videos is, do you have to put a filter on, or are you contorting your face and doing this yourself? Okay.
It is a filter.
Okay.
The funniest thing, I went on for not early days. This is a couple months ago, September. I went on Fox News, and they, CNN didn't reach out. So I was like, all press is good press, whatever. I don't want to piss anybody off, but I was like, all right, they were talking about something intense before, and then I came out. I was like, but whoever was producing the segment or whatever did not tell the host that this was my face. So they had no idea. So I get on live television and they're like, so, we're all very shocked that your face, and they were like, can you do it? Can you? And so I did a little bit of it. I didn't have my phone in the room, so I wasn't able to like kind of do what I'll try to do here.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, it's crazy. He didn't do the face. And then the other host was like, I think it's because it takes him a second to really ramp it up. And I'm just like, that is like, I had like a nice little laugh to myself after that. Cause I was like, a lot of people think that I just kind of do like a little like this, and then my face gets stuck like that.
I was kind of wondering that myself, because you got the hat, you've got the stubble like a PE guy might have, you've got the AirPods in. So I thought this was something, could he do it on the spot? But okay, so if you were to do it, and all right, so show us how you do it, if it's okay, if you don't.
So this is the filter. So it's not going to be the best quality.
That's okay. Oh my God.
So
it's like
if so I do that, and if I'm looking at my phone, can you see my?
Yes.
Yeah. So I can kind of see me. So, and I would be like, so Jim, really wonderful to see you. You said you're DC native, is that right?
I am from DC. That's correct.
Amazing.
Yeah. What do you think of DC? Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't even know where to begin. I've got lots of dear friends in the Chevy Chase area. There's lots of wealth, lots of government contractors and such. The PE deal flow there it's decent enough. I get down there for work, but I tend to stay out of politics. It's just, and I make my donations, and I don't necessarily think we should release the Epstein files. Definitely not.
Of course, PE guy would say this.
Yeah, I don't think it's. Yeah, I know. Well, let's put it this way. I have a couple of buddies who are really wonderful folks, and they're frightened, and I don't want them to be frightened. So maybe we should just let it go, right?
Oh, Jesus. But you always like to talk about the wifey and the kiddos, and you have Tarantino, and is Montauk one of the names of the kids?
Montauk, for obvious reasons, and then Ibida. So Tarantino's 4, Montauk is 2, and Ibida's 9 months. Yeah.
And Ibida, what's the last one?
Ibida. Yeah. For the are you familiar with the financial the acronym? It's an acronym for it's earnings before interest, taxes, and debts adjustments or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. EBITDA.
So it's literally a PE term.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lovely name, I must say.
Yeah.
It's a lovely. And how's wifey doing these days?
Oh, she's wonderful. Yeah, I haven't seen her in a couple of weeks. She went on a retreat, a jiu-jitsu retreat with the tennis pro a couple weeks ago, and I haven't seen her, but she's doing good. Very happy.
Amazing. Johnny, this is amazing stuff. And as I was saying earlier, the other thing that's really funny about this is that you do this. And do you have to contort your face a little bit behind the scenes?
I don't have to, but I do.
the
I get
whole-
my whole body gets involved. It's like yeah. And then afterwards I have to just like go to bed.
You have to go, "Ooh," yeah.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that you tailor this to different parts of the country, and maybe my producer Mac, he can just pick his favorite one, and we'll play that one.
Yeah.
Our home in the Cotswolds. Yeah, and happy Thanksgiving to all. So we typically do Thanksgiving in the Cotswolds, and we flew over on the plane last night. It was amazing. The kiddos slept. Obviously, the seats turned into full mattresses. So, and wifey, she's not awake yet because she doubled up on her plane pills, which is great, which is okay. And she's doing great. So, but Tarantino, obviously, he fasts and takes a vow of silence on this day. So, we will not hear from him or see him all day. But yeah, those of us that are eating, we're not doing turkey. It's a little too pedestrian for us. So we are, we're flying in a hand foraged, raised on a gorgeous farm in Geneva, a Cornish hen, and that's what we'll be eating. So yeah, I'm wishing you and your families a wonderful and happy Thanksgiving.
And what's beautiful about that, Johnny, is he sounds like he believes it. Like he's so earnest about this, and he comes across in a somewhat pleasant way, but in a horribly satanic way as well.
Weirdly likable, and you also kind of feel bad for him because he doesn't get it, but he's he's like, well, of course they're doing wonderfully, and it's
amazing,
it's shocking, yeah.
And tell us a little bit about yourself. You are. Did I see that you're a fitness instructor?
Yes,
and
allegedly.
so in
Not really
Boston
much anymore. In Boston, Massachusetts. Yeah, I've been here.
Is this your new thing now? Are you just like you're doing
this is like cracked open into like a whole thing that I've always acted kind of like a fool on the internet, and this is just like blown up, and I'm loving it. It can be a full-time job, and it cannot. I mean, but I'm making it a full-time job. So, but I teach at Barry's and SoulCycle. So, but I teach like one class a week at both now. I'm just holding on to one.
You've got it. It seems to me you've got to get on Substack. You've got to get on. Are you on YouTube? I saw you're on TikTok.
I'm on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. And I need to get. I need to do the Substack thing. I got to figure it all out. I'm like still. It's been one thing. When I tell you, it started as like this. Like it's been one little thing at a time, and all of a sudden I look back and I'm like, what the hell happened in 8 months? Like
incredible.
It started in March, so I'm just like. And I'm doing these like cool collabs and having amazing podcast guests. And there's a podcast, which is like, what the hell am I doing with a podcast? I have zero experience with, it makes sense. Jim Acosta has a podcast. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Johnny Hilbrant has a podcast. It's like, what? No. Okay. Relax, Johnny. It's, but it's,
run with this, man. I mean, honestly, it struck a chord. I think part of the reason why it struck a chord is that we're in a little bit of an eat the rich moment. I have to say, I hate to break it to you. I know you don't want to piss on those guys, but I mean, we are sort of in a moment where they're gobbling up like all of the world's resources for themselves. Elon Musk is going to become a trillionaire. So like,
you're right. Yeah.
There's an appetite for it.
Yeah, especially the PE thing. I think I hit on a thing because it's a lot of people's companies are being bought by PE, and they're people who like still work for the company, and they see that. So there is a lot. People send me their stories a lot, and I'm like, this is like I almost can't handle reading these because it bums me out so much. It's like I've worked at this dentist office for 20 years, and they got bought by PE, and now I have to work on Saturdays, and if I don't like it, I have to I hate that, like that whole, like, evil money people at the top, but I think it still so exists, and they're just better at camouflaging themselves in a lot of ways. And my husband which is funny. I have a husband, not a wife, which is hilarious. Some of the husbandy. Yeah. He's an oral surgeon, and he has experienced like a lot of the oral surgery practices and dental practices are these guys come in and they'll like take you out to a huge steak dinner and wine and dine you, and they're like, we're gonna do this and it's gonna be great, and like, and you're either on board now or you're not, and all of these, all of the oral surgery practices are going to be owned by PE, so you might as well get on board now. And these people, he spent 10 years in schooling for this, and he's like, I want to own my own practice. I don't, I don't need Blackstone a part of it.
Yeah, no question
So,
about it. But that's where the world is headed right now
I know.
until somebody slams the brakes on this stuff. And you're doing that to some extent by skewering
Yeah.
these people in a wonderful way. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hats off to you and the public service that you're doing. Johnny, it's great to meet you. I'm glad we did this, and
Me
we'll do
too.
some clips, and hopefully I'll come on your thing, and we'll keep
Yeah.
doing this.
I love it. Yeah, thank you so much for reaching out. This is lovely.
You
Happy
got
Friday
it.
to you. Yeah.
Happy Friday, Johnny, the PE guy. Thanks so much. Great to see.
Thanks, Jim.
It's not PE class. It's private equity. So just in case everybody's good to see you, Johnny. Thanks a lot.
Nice to see you,
Appreciate it.
Jim. Thank
All
you.
right. That was great. And I had to do. We just need this at the end of the week, folks, to just unwind and it's okay. We're gonna be okay. And yes, we get pissed at stuff. And yes, you hear me say things on this podcast that you used to not hear me say on corporate media. But every so often, we got to sit back and laugh a little bit, or we're all just going to go totally batshit crazy. So I really appreciate that. And can we just show this one more time? The Donald Trump getting the participation trophy, the Peace Prize. I guess FIFA gave Donald Trump a Peace Prize earlier today as part of this World Cup rollout here in Washington, D.C. over at the Kennedy Center.
There is also
here it is.
Beautiful
FIFA giving Donald Trump a Peace Prize. A Peace Prize. That is not the Nobel Peace Prize, by the way, in case folks are wondering.
Fantastic.
This is not the Nobel Peace Prize. It is the FIFA Peace Prize. And a lot of folks immediately responded on social media that this is a bit of a participation trophy. And I have to take issue with that a little bit. In what way is Donald Trump participating in peace? I will say I support the idea of participation trophies, by the way, as somebody who has little kids on a soccer team or on a baseball team, or whatever. It is totally fine and cool to give everybody a participation trophy. I hate it that people slam that for little kids, because what are you going to do at the end of the season? Not give them anything? I think that's how we grow up, but I think that's okay for kids to have participation trophies. If they participate, if they go to the practices, if they go to the games, you participated, you should get something out of it. That's cool with me. Donald Trump does not participate in peace. And so what FIFA handed out to Donald Trump earlier in the day is a fraud. It's bullshit. It's obviously not a real thing. They just made it up. I think this was their first annual Peace Prize that they handed out, and they gave it to Donald Trump. And so it's a fraud on that level, in that Donald Trump did not earn it. He's blowing up boats in the Caribbean, whether they're drug dealers or not. They're just wasting people. So there's that. But there's also something else going on here with the Nobel, or the fake Nobel Peace Prize that Donald Trump got. And it's this. It is once again setting the example, not only to corporate titans here in the United States, but to governments, to dictators, to the worst of the worst around the world, that this is how you kiss up to the President of the United States. This is how you get something out of the President of the United States. This is how you get something out of the United States government. He is so easily sucked up to. He is so pliable. He is so malleable. He could be fluffed, if you want to call it that, with gold offerings in a way that is truly, truly sickening, and it is truly disturbing, because it's now more than obvious to just about anybody on the world stage, and the FIFA presentation, I think, is the icing on the cake for it, that Donald Trump is somebody who can just be bought with trinkets, with gold trinkets. And obviously more than that. We've been, you can buy some of his crypto, buy some of his family's crypto. There's that too. You can let him build a hotel, or let the family build a hotel in your country. There's that too. But how cheap have we gotten as a country, where the President of the United States can be handed a fake medal, and all of a sudden you're doing business with the President of the United States? It is a joke. It is a joke. If they can hand out a gold medal for shamelessness, it would obviously go to Donald Trump. Maybe we'll send him up. Maybe we'll make one, the shamelessness gold medal, and we will deliver it. We'll present it on the show. I probably couldn't deliver it, but we will present that to Donald Trump maybe at some point. My thanks to Pablo Torre for being on the show today. Great stuff from him. Check out his podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out. And also, don't forget to check out our friend Johnny, the PE guy, Hilbrant. He is on Instagram and is just absolutely fantastic. There's his Instagram account. I saw this the other day and I was like, I got to reach out to this guy. And it's so funny that he went on Fox and they thought he was going to be in character, but no, he does it through a filter. I suspected that was the case, and I wanted to test it out on my show, and I did find that out to be the case. But make sure you check out Johnny on Instagram, and maybe we'll find him in some other places very soon. But in the meantime, just want to thank all of you week in and week out supporting this program. Make sure you subscribe, you hit the like button, all of those things, they help the show. I try not to do too much of this. It seems like I'm like doing the PBS, fundraising campaign thing. No offense to PBS. Love it when they do that. But I try and I don't know what it is. I feel a little bad asking for folks to support the show, but I ask you humbly, if you could, maybe I'll send you a medal if you support the show. No, I won't do that, but I will thank you on this program for supporting the show. And you do that by subscribing and liking and telling other people that you know about this show. It means the world to me. But in the meantime, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks so much for watching. Still reporting from Washington, I'm Jim Acosta. I'll see you next time.
Bloomfield Hills money, yeah. They basically own half the shoreline between Charlevoix and Petoskey. Oh? Yeah, so we live on Vaughan Road, 7 bedrooms, gated, of course. Yeah, so trees are so tall they create their own microclimate. So, and FedEx has a brutal time finding us, which it can be a problem because we've got breast milk, fresh squeezed from Switzerland, shipped in weekly. Wow, I didn't realize you could do that. So that's for your 9-month-old? No, actually all the kiddos. So Tarantino, our 4-year-old, he's almost 5. Yeah, he's still enjoying the finest breast milk that the globe has to offer. What? Yeah, so for clubs, we're at Bloomfield Hills Country Club, BHCC. Golf, tennis, the whole thing. It's gorgeous. Yeah, those are really nice spots. So I'm assuming your kids go to some sort of private school. Schools? Yeah, schools are not negotiable. Yeah, so wifey toured Cranbrook once and literally sobbed. Yeah, when she saw the natatorium. She said it reminded her of her semester abroad in Lausanne. So where do you live? Actually, I'm near Grosse Pointe. We don't live in Grosse Pointe, but our boat does. She summers gracefully at the Grosse Pointe Yacht Club while we summer properly in Harbor Springs. Yeah, not anything that touches Canada. We've got standards. Wait, what's wrong with Canada? Well, listen, my man, really great chatting. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. Very cool.